So you do believe YT privilege is real?
Oh no.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
my
What about you, Truth Factory? Do you believe
Oh my
YT
God.
privilege is real? And also, if you
Sure.
would
Oh.
answer the people asking about black privilege and Asian privilege, if you could
Hmm.
touch on that, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, from the standpoint of colonialism as well as the early roots of this country. So let's talk about. I live here in Houston. Let's say, for whatever reason, my great great grandfather. Let's go back a little bit further. My great 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 grandfather owned a piece of land where Houston sits right now. Well, we all know that real estate is very, very much what predominantly sets a family up for generational wealth.
That's true.
Well, that land at that particular time wasn't available to my ancestors. Even though we were here, it wasn't available. We didn't have the means in which to actually buy that lot of land or have that lot of land. So the people who were in control of that land was able to actually send that down through their generational prosperity. So where that Walmart is right now, someone had to buy that land, and that land more than likely did go to YT.
A lot of it is
So,
what we do on a day-to-day basis and our conditioning.
Can
well,
can I'd like
again,
to actually
you asked me
respond to
if
what
I
you're
thought
saying
it
there.
was a privilege. You asked me if I thought it was a privilege. That right there is a set of privilege that is afforded to my, and I don't blame the people who are living now, but I do recognize that they have a position set for them that I didn't. So now
No.
for me, what I've done is set it up to the point where, okay, I have means in which to acquire land. I have means in which to acquire properties and things of that nature. And I do it so 100 years from now or 200 years from now, if this country is still around, that my great great grandchildren will be able to say, we own this land because of what my great great grandfather did. And I have that opportunity. So even though YT had the privilege, that doesn't mean I soak and bask in that of I can never get ahead or I can't do this, I can't do that. I don't believe that. I believe that my relationship with Father opens up doors and avenues in which would allow me to be able to do it for my posterity.
Yeah,
And
but
that's where we all should be.
aren't you talking there? You're talking about class. You're not even talking about race. So, when you go back to early landholders, almost no YT people held it either. It may be true that it was exclusively YT people who did, but very few of them actually did. Very few of them were actually able to vote. Very few of them were actually able to do any of that. So they were almost every bit as just as enfranchised in that regard as your ancestry was when it came to land holdership. Right? Most people just
So
did not hold
who owned the
land.
plantations?
Well, I mean, there was black people who owned plantations as well. Did you know that?
Yeah, I get that there was, but for the majority, who owned the
Yeah, but I
plantations?
just made this point that you're making my point for
Okay,
me. So the idea here is
no,
this is
I'm
that if it is the
reasserting my
case,
point.
well, hang on, if it is the
It is the
case
case. It's
that
no
most
if
YT people
about
are
that.
disenfranchised, you're really talking about a class issue.
I'm talking, no, it's not a class issue back if you go in again to the roots.
It
The class
was.
issue is now, but the roots of the issue was it had to deal with how uh, this country was set up. Now, that has changed. I recognize that that has changed, but yet when we're talking about let's talk old money versus new money.
Okay.
New money that's created today through sports, through athletics, through whatever type of inventions or whatnot, is able to actually acquire that property, that land, that stake in America. When it comes down to what was going on before 1868, can we go back that far?
Sure.
Oh,
Or
when they traded like
let's
beaver
move.
pelts and stuff.
Yeah, you mean when most YT people were not able to vote, almost nobody was able to vote pre 1868?
But I don't recall that being a part of
Well, that
history.
is
You
a part of
send that to
history.
me.
Yeah, yeah. Here, I'll give you. In
Well,
fact, I'll give you the
where can I
amendment.
get? Yeah.
Originally, in the
Okay.
United States, after we had the
Hmm.
Articles of Confederation, are you aware that voting was done at a state level? You had to be a property owner. There was no federal elections. That's not how it worked. Ever. You couldn't vote just because you were YT. You couldn't vote. That's absurd, and it's a myth that's made up by proponents like you who don't know history.
May I chime in, please?
I don't know if you can hear me. I was asking for the statute and the date when all that changed,
Oh, I don't know.
so I can look it up. I can do my homework.
You know what? You mean
I
like
don't have.
the
I might be
19th
ignorant, but I
the
don't have the
19th
state date.
Amendment for women's suffrage? You're talking about the 14th Amendment. You're talking about. I mean, we can literally
No,
go
that
through.
didn't have anything to do with land
I do
ownership.
you
None
under
of
okay?
those.
Who do you think could vote originally? You think every YT person could vote, or do you think only a very small amount were allowed to vote?
Only men
I
were
think you got
aristocrats.
the answer, and I'm asking you for it, so I don't have to stay ignorant. But you don't have the
Can
answer.
you
for
can
me.
you
I'm
answer
waiting
can you answer
because
my question?
I just did.
Yeah, so men's suffrage came around, universal suffrage for men came around shortly before women's suffrage did. If you want the exact date and amendment, I can give it to you. But the point
Yeah,
is
give it to
no,
me.
you couldn't just vote because you were a YT person. That's how the
I don't
original
believe you
Constitution
until
was
you
set
give
up.
it to me. Give
Oh
it
my
to me
God.
where that
Okay.
was.
Yes, I'll give it to you right now.
Hmm.
It was 1920 for women, for sure, and for
Yeah, I
women
know
of color
women.
and
Yeah,
people of color, it
I
was
want to know when white men
1965.
couldn't vote.
I don't know for men what it was.
Yeah,
It
I want to
is
know
true.
when white men couldn't vote
It is true that
because they
not
didn't
all
own
white men
land.
could vote back then. You had to be like the owner of property and stuff. So just
Okay, show me where that is.
Yeah, I'll give you the. In fact, I'll give it all to you. I'm going to pull it up for you right this second. Okay, so this is going back. You can just look this up easy on elections.com. 1776, when the country's announced independence from Britain, voting rights were based on property ownership. This meant that those voting had to be white males over the age of 21, Protestant religion, and had to own property. So almost nobody was enfranchised to vote, sir. It wasn't just one select person group. It was also YT people. While it's true that yes, you had to be YT to vote, you still also had to have other criteria like property, things like this. By
So they
1830,
still
this
had
was
the
still the
advantage.
case, by the way. 1868, the 14th Amendment recognizes African Americans as citizens, giving them the right to vote. State officials continue to deny it based on property. Same thing with YT people. Like, you just don't know what you're talking about, dude.
So you're saying because they weren't able to vote, that meant they didn't have land, or they were in the same pot
it
as
meant
black
that
people.
only a select people. So we had what were called land barons, and they owned most of the swaths of land because it was to the affluent that land became available. Most people couldn't afford it, therefore most people couldn't vote. Almost nobody ever voted. In early elections, it was so bad you could only sometimes get 1 or 2% of the electorate who could vote because they owned land to the polls. That's how bad it was.
Okay, well, I'll do my homework on that, and I'll get back with you guys. Y'all go ahead and talk. I'm going to go ahead and do my dice and slice, and I'll come back in a few minutes.
I have a
Thank
question
you
for
for
the
your
host.
information.
I have
Go
a
ahead,
question
bro.
For Andrew, too.